My name is David Kasabji. I'm working at NIL, more precisely at NIL's Security Operations Center, where my main responsibilities are evaluating, developing new tools, technologies in order to expand our SOC portfolio and basically to enhance our quality of service. In today's lecture, I would like to basically tell you a story how we at NIL's SOC face the challenges of this new digital era. So we will walk through approximately this agenda, like starting with some cybersecurity trends, and then try to identify the challenges, and then address those challenges or basically solve them. And so basically, digital era, like Fred also started with this. Digitalization is definitely happening. This means generally that all our data is becoming is having a digital form today. All our personal data, business data, processes, and everything is now digitalized. But when I thought about it, every new kind of invention or new development, evolution, even in technology, comes with some risks, right? And usually those risks are even greater than the predecessor technologies. For example, maybe a different example is like invention of a car. It's really a great invention. It enabled people to travel faster, travel more independently, and get to the longer distances by themselves. But on the other side, what risks did that bring is like, for example, air pollution, or maybe even more dramatic is the car accidents, which are more deadly than with bicycles. Let's say that was the predecessor vehicle. And I think that this same applies also to digitalization. It's a great way to enhance user experience. You can be 2,000 kilometers away, and you can access all your data from that location at any time, so anywhere. But what risks does that bring? And we will try to identify these risks or challenges, and I will try to explain how we dealt with them within our SOC. Okay, so I promise this is just one slide about statistics, because I was even like figuring out if I should put this in this lecture, because through all these years that I work in the cybersecurity industry, I listened to lectures, I even gave some, and even me, I put a lot of slides, maybe too many, about statistics, because we had the feeling that we need to address the audience of how impactful our opponents, so adversaries, right, are the cyber criminals. And when I reviewed the IBM's report from 2019, so from previous year actually, I still saw that there is a significant amount of successful breaches still occurring. So I decided to still put a slide, at least one slide on it, just a good reminder for us all that we're maybe not still doing the best job addressing this. And so hopefully with this lecture, we will get a bit better understanding how to address such issues. And this brings me to my next part, so facing the challenge. In order to face a challenge, we of course need to identify them. So this is like an equation in mathematics, right? You need to know what you need to solve, right? So this was a crucial part also in our SOC to identify these challenges. One of them is probably, I could call it staying one step ahead. But basically the challenge here is that our opponents are getting more advanced. They will craft such TTPs, so tactics, techniques, and procedures, to full preventive tools. This is the main goal, of course, right? Otherwise, they won't reach their goal, which is to get our data or harm us, you know. And what this means to us who defend our customers or ourselves from such cyber criminals is that we also need to understand such TTPs in order to develop certain detection rules to detect such attacks, and then later on respond to them so they don't do damage to us. So I label this in a phrase, staying one step ahead. So staying one step ahead of our enemies, our opponents, attackers. And I think this is a really challenging part because we need to have also a skill set to understand the technology we were working with. So we need to develop rules on different kind of tool sets that are in customers' environment, in our own environment, and this adds a bit of challenge than the attacker has. Okay, and the second challenge, I'm talking more about those important challenges. There are many to face, but the second challenge is what I call one versus many. This is probably known to us all because it's not really bound to only cybersecurity industry. It's now known as the big data challenges, right? But it also applies to cybersecurity. For example, we have some estimates that a medium-sized Slovenian company generates around 1,000 to 2,000 events per second. So 1,000 and 2,000, between 1,000 and 2,000 events per second. If we kind of forget about the tools that you guys know that exist, but we're starting with zero knowledge here, and we see this 1,000 events coming per second, we think, shit, how many people we need to address those, right? This is not physically possible, of course, so we need to find solutions, how to address that many data, because data is great, but we need to know how to interpret it and reduce the amount of it. So how do you fight such a battle, right? You need to think strategically. So we tried that. We said, okay, we now know our challenges. We definitely need technical experts first of all, right? On one side, these technical experts really need to understand the attackers, so to develop the rule sets, to detect their attacks, so TTPs. And also, we need such technical expertise to know how to develop rules, detection rules, to detect those attacks, right? So definitely, one of the solutions is the technical expertise. And the other one, once we notice this many, one versus many, a lot of logs coming in, a lot of events, a lot of alarms, we definitely need some sort of automation to help us, to assist us on dealing with these challenges. Okay, so at this point, I would say we identified two core challenges that we had. And now we move on to how to solve them. So we focus on the detection, but detection is not possible if you do not have visibility. As we heard also from Fred, he pointed out that visibility is the key. And we totally agree with that presumption. So we also say the visibility is the key. So because it's logical, you cannot prevent or you cannot detect something if you cannot see it at all in your logs. So first of all, the foundation of a good SOC lifecycle is detection. So in order to bypass prevention tools, so cyber criminals will definitely try to mimic legitimate behavior. Preventive tools need to be careful because their job is to actually impact something, so prevent, so deny access, for example, if it's suspicious, right? So they cannot be, I say, overtuned in this case because it might result in a self-inflicted denial of service. If we tune our prevention tools in a way that they will try to block every suspicious behavior, it might result that we block also legitimate behavior in this case. And as I said, the advanced adversaries will try to mimic legitimate behavior. They know that's the way to bypass the prevention tools. And this limit or this limitation is, does not apply to the detection tools, fortunately, because detection tools don't need to focus on making a bad impact on our business, because they need to just detect, see the logs, and show them to us, right? Here we need to be definitely careful how we interpret those logs, because we can quickly drown in false positives, of course. You know, if there's like, we say, okay, just show me everything that's suspicious, we will definitely be back again to the 1,000 events per second, right? So like I mentioned, detection is really great, visibility is cool, we need it, but we also need technical expertise to reduce the amount of events that we get and make meaningful detections that are based on the TTPs of the attackers. Okay, so at this point, we identified the tools that we need. So we know that we need visibility, we know that we need detection, we need experts. Now we can focus where to place these detections, these sensors, I would say, to listen to the logs. And if you think about it very, very broadly, so fundamentally there are two places in our infrastructure where we can detect an intruder. Very broadly speaking, this is on network and on endpoints, right? And both of these So endpoints and networks have their own unique sensors to detect such intruders. So on the endpoint, we now use the abbreviation EDR, for example, endpoint detection and response tools. I recently just read the Gartner's MDR report of 2019, and they put as a key finding that for MDRs, the EDR has become the most relevant tool in SOC's arsenal or MDR's arsenal. So we identify here good tools like Cortex XDR or Fidelis Endpoint, and there are a few others, of course. And on the networking part, we can say that the next generation firewalls can also do the job as a good detection tool because, for example, on Palo Alto next generation firewall, you have the ability to set a certain rule to be not take preventive actions, but just to log the event occurring. So next generation firewalls are kind of also now good network detection tools. Okay, so at this point, we identified even the tools that we need to use. So we are eager to go and investigate the cases that are thrown upon us. So let's see how this looks at the moment. With EDR entity, we estimate around 90% of total visibility is covered for a SOC to be able to detect intruders. But of course, there's the 10%, let's say, missing. Like you guys probably also have email security logs, I don't know, web application firewall logs, database monitoring logs, and there are a lot of others, right? So what I want to say is that while you have only this tool set that we described here, and if you imagine a case of a company that provides SOCs as a service, there are just multiple of these tools that we need to monitor. And even if you have one company, like you're monitoring yourself, you need to have, I say, in a bit of funny way, that number of detection tools equals to the number of open tabs in browser. So this means if you perform monitoring you access the monitoring tools through the browser. If you have like 10 monitoring tools, you will need to have 10 tabs in browser just to check what's happening there. So this was the challenge that we identified as a new one. And we tried to perform some temporary solutions, of course. So for example, if on EDR, we get some alarm that says connection to a suspicious IP, right? So endpoint connected to a suspicious IP, and you see it only on the EDR. Well, you check the IP and you see, oh man, this really belongs to some botnet or C2 server, right? This is totally legit. It's an incident. We should, perform incident response. This can be the case because if analyst forgets that the context is very important. So not just the alert coming from a single detection tool, you need to have a context about the whole story. You need to build the whole story. So the whole story might be that you need to check the relevant event on the networking part too. For example, the firewall, on firewall logs, you could simply see that the connection to that IP was actually denied on the firewall. So endpoint detection doesn't see that. And knowing that, you built a context, it dramatically changed your outcome. So suddenly you do not have an incident, you don't need to have perform incident response. You notice that, okay, preventive action was taken by a firewall. Cool, let's close this deal, right? In order to make such context, at the moment we have to do it manually. We have to switch to the firewall console and check if relevant events are there connecting to this IP. We try to improve this by, like with temporary solutions, writing custom scripts to perform such correlation. And one of the issues as SOC as a service providers, we didn't have any really good case management. It's important when you work in a team that you have some sort of case management so you can assign a case to yourself that other analysts in your team know that you're working on it already, so they don't do the duplicate work. But currently, at this moment, the detection tools are not focused on that, so you cannot really assign a case to you. You cannot write comments or send, screenshots or results from other analysis so that everyone can see. So this is something we still missed. These are now 2 new challenges that we identified and we need to address. Well, luckily for us, the context part, there is a tool that addresses this really great, and we all know it. It's the CM. CM uses its correlation engine to create context for us automatically. So while you integrate the different log sources to CM, the CM with its correlation engine will craft a story for us so that analysts already can see, joint events from the EDR, from the firewall, from the email security logs, whatever. They're all in one group now, in one place. So like we had an example with connection to a suspicious IP before, on EDR, we couldn't be certain if this is a real incident without checking on the networking part if this really happened. The connection went through, or it was blocked by firewall. And having CM, we would see this already immediately, the firewall deny log, that the connection was not successful. Now that we have a new tool in our tool set, so we now have the detection tools, we now also have the CM to build our context. Let's see how our analysis improved from the detection tool set only. So definitely one of the biggest advantages I think CM brings is that it's a great solution for the context as a context creator. And moreover, it brings all the logs together into one platform. This is a very, very big improvement. So it reduces all those tabs that I mentioned before. You can now have only one tab. You have CM, you have all the data there. So you can perform analysis there with all the context given. What we started to miss while we worked for months on the CM is that we missed some sort of orchestration or automation features, because we started to notice repetitive tasks are occurring while investigating on CM. Repetitive tasks such as IOC enrichment, for example. Okay, great, there's an IP, but still analysts would need to go, try to enrich that IP to get the information from who registered it, or what's the domain behind, try to figure out what's the domain behind it, check other reputation tools about known, if this is a known bad IP or good one or whatever. So this was still a manual task, even with CM. And we try to address that, so to reduce as much as we can the manual task. And at CMs, I still don't think the case management is the strongest part of them, although some do have it. But from those that I have experienced, you do not have the real ability like to upload also screenshots or share code or such stuff. So this is still something we missed as working in a team. And this brings me to our next part. So the part where we address the modern technologies. These are the orchestration and automation, beginning maybe with orchestration. So orchestration in cybersecurity basically means that it enables us to integrate all of the different security tools into one platform. Now, this definitely sounds pretty familiar, right? CM does almost the same, some might say, right? Because all the logs are coming to CM, so it's only one platform. But the main difference between the tools that perform orchestration is that they have also the bidirectional communication. The tool that can perform orchestration can also, imply to the EDR to tell the tool, isolate that host for me. And this is very important if you want to automate stuff. You need to be able to communicate with the tool, not just listen to it. So that's why I kind of call the tools that enable orchestration that they are like some kind of maestros in an orchestra, or conductors, I think it's in the English term. So they don't just listen to the log sources. They can also tell them what to do. So please isolate the host, put this IP on the firewall, please put this IP on the blacklist, and so on. Orchestration kind of intuitively then enables automation. Now we have all the security logs integrated into one platform. We can communicate with them bidirectionally. So we can now enable also some automative tasks happening. And this is exactly what automation does in cybersecurity. So maybe it's easiest to explain it through some examples. One we already mentioned is the IOC enrichment. So this can be done by a playbook. Once an event is ingested to a SOAR platform, SOAR is a platform that enables automation orchestration. And we can trigger an automated playbook on this ingestion, and it will do the enrichment for us. And maybe one more advanced example where we see the real power of the automation is in the proactive investigation. So hunting for IOCs. Let's say you confirmed a file being a malicious. A playbook would automatically craft a hash for that file. It would initiate an automated search by telling EDR console to sweep all the all the environment, all the endpoints to check if this file exists on any other machine. And if it does, you can tell him to remove that malicious file. You can also tell the EDR console to put the file hash on the blacklist, so no further downloads or installations of that file are possible. And all these steps are done automatically by Playbook. This is happening in seconds. Well, you can imagine doing it manually, right? And at this point, we are really equipped we think we are really equipped for the battle. We have all the tool sets that we need to address adversaries efficiently and still with quality of service. So SOAR, the Security Orchestration Automation and Response tool, like we have here a picture of the Misto from Palo Alto, enables us these features like orchestration and automation and a lot more features. For example, for SOC as a service companies that offer SOC as a service, we also have ability to create multi-tenancy. Multi-tenancy is important for us so we can really have a single pane of glass for investigations. So customer A has, McAfee CM, customer B has a Curator CM, customer C has Logpoint. So we can all integrate this to the Misto, and then we have virtual segmentation of these tenants, these customers. So the analyst can choose, okay, I will investigate cases on customer A, and this customer A has a subset of their own integrations done in the SOAR tool. So this is a really amazing feature for us. And once you really begin to have experience with the customer or your own environment, you will quickly notice that there are some cases that you cannot tune on the CM itself or any other tool. So we'll try to think, can we use playbooks actually to automatically close these repetitive false positives, right? Because they are really annoying. But you cannot tune them for the safety reasons, but because there could be some chances that, is one case that could slip through, which is an attacker. So what we usually do, we do not fully automate everything. We leave the final step to be confirmed by an analyst manually. So all the data is listed, playbook ran automatically in seconds. So analyst needs to just check the results of the playbook and then just say, is this false positive or not, right? So this really reduces the time to investigate or come to the first verdict, as we say. And maybe to consume all this, this is an example of such symphony that I like to call. So this is the story that we've told today. We started by identifying challenges and addressing them. We addressed them first with the blue rectangles. These are the detection tools, so NTD, so network threat detection or endpoint detection response. And we noticed that they are really good with the detecting malicious behavior or suspicious behavior. So in this example, EDR noticed a suspicious file hash, and the network component noticed that suspicious file download. Okay, then we identified that's great. So it will be awesome to have this context together in one single platform. So we identified CM as a solution for that. And once these two logs come to CM, CM will correlate these two events, and it would name it something like suspicious file hash preceded by suspicious file download. And then we figured out, okay, we need something now to automate this, to enrich these IOCs that we receive, to perform some orchestration, and we identified SOAR to be the perfect solution for that. So this offense or alarm, or however you call it, from CM is then ingested to the SOAR, and then SOAR triggers an automated playbook upon this ingestion. Let's say it does these 4 things that are described here. So enrich entities, do some reputation checks on it, and if your reputations are not good, we set a threshold in the playbook. So if it's, below 50%, send this, download the file from the EDR, tell the EDR to give me this file from the computer, save it on SOAR in a sandbox, so it's safely stored, and then send it to our sandbox solution, like Wildfire, for example, from Palo Alto. And then this sandbox solution will do the dynamic analysis and come to a verdict. Let's say for this case, it was indeed a malicious file. So SOAR receives this feedback from the sandbox, and then the playbook continues to execute. Okay, is it malicious? Yes, it goes through this branch, right, of the playbook. And automated actions continue. So SOAR does, okay, now EDR, please scan endpoints for this hash if it exists on any other machine. If it does, remove it, blacklist it, like we said, right? And it can also communicate with the network component and tell, okay, and also please put this IP on the blacklist from where it downloaded the file. So this is kind of the whole encircled picture of this process, how this automation works. This was all done automatically in this case. So analysts didn't need to do anything, basically. And okay, these are, Fred showed us very good, the optimistic numbers, how SOAR enhances our investigations. I put the more conservative numbers here because at NIL SOC, we're really careful with automation. We really want to know our customers. We really want to know the detections that we create for them. So we rather not automate everything, put something to be done manually just in case so we don't miss any real attacks happening, because we are worried, because we are totally aware that attackers will try to mimic legitimate behavior. So we still need human brains to decide for that last phase if this is really false positive or a true incident. So we kind of estimated here. These are really rough estimates. We need a lot more data to come to better more fixed numbers. But for each new event investigated, this means that analysts didn't investigate it earlier. So it's a new event, so we need to investigate it from zero. We estimate that we need 11 minutes to come to a first verdict on the SOAR platform and 16 minutes on CM. This is around 30% increase of efficiency. And I would emphasize here that these metrics were done with really, really simple playbooks. So not the playbook that I shown in the previous slide with the full automated life cycle, but only for like enriching the entities. This is done automatically for these calculations, for these metrics. So only enrichment phase is here automated. 5 minutes on average takes an analyst to enrich the entities, write them down, create this enriched context. And we can only imagine how much time would we spare if we would, compare from the previous slide how many steps we need to perform manually, and this is being done automatically. And basically with this, I would like to conclude my story here, my lecture for today. I hope I kind of managed to put the message through. Like at some point we all started with zero, and we need to learn, because this is a new era, the digital era. The threats are new, the threat landscape is new, and we need to address it with our, I would say, imagination and creativity, right? We need tools that support us with this, and this is how at NIL SOC we approached it, and I think we're doing really efficiently. Now we identified perhaps in future we should look into AI, machine learning features. We're waiting, we're evaluating as we speak some solutions for that, but it takes time. We need to feel confident about those. This is then really someone else deciding things for you. So thank you very much for listening to me. Here are my contact details in case someone would like to share any feedback, questions, whatever. I'll be happy to answer that. Thank you.